Hey, cheers. Cheers, everyone. It's Friday night again.
What's up?
Wow.
Hello. It's good to be back, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Good to see everyone again. It's good to be back. It's been a week.
Hell yeah, cheers, y'all. Fuck yeah.
Cheers. Let's quickly do the didn't do this last week actually. Let's do the old like and subscribe. Cheers.
Very important people.
No obligation. It's gonna be a great show. Hazel's back. Steve's back. Dan's back. It's gonna be a great crew. It is a great crew. It's gonna be a great show. For any newcomers, what we do, each got 5 records or more. more that we've been having a good time listening to. We're going to talk about them. I'm always excited for everyone's picks. I had a hard time this week. I've got too many records. That's the problem. It's hard to just
No.
it's hard to choose only 5 sometimes. But we'll survive. Let's see if anyone's in the chat. Who's here? Anyone's here? Vincent Pellegrini is here. Hi, Vincent. How you doing?
Cheers, Vincent.
Cheers.
Hell yeah. Yeah, we're just talking about there's so much good shit coming out right now. It's like so hard to keep up with all of it. And it's all bangers. It's all good stuff. It's all really good records coming. It's a good time for music right now, I think.
I think so. A lot of people my age are sort of like over it. I'm having a bit of a resurgence, buying a lot of new stuff. It's exciting, It's good.
Yeah.
That's good for me. The less of those old heads ordering those pre-orders, the easier of a time I have to get.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got the likes of me to deal with now. I don't know. I'm in the future as well, so I can get in ahead of everybody else. Yes, it does need. I think Hazel is the analog attack logo kind of on your wall.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
I'll try to put records on the other side.
It's fine. It's beautiful. It is a beautiful thumbnail. It is beautiful. There you go. Cheers. Right, shall we get going? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Get going. Cheers, everyone. The comments. A lot of people watching tonight. Let us know. Help us out when we make a mistake, or you want to. Actually, I'm not going to say that. If I say roast us, that's like
don't encourage them, Mike.
Be nice. All right. I'm going to start off in Japan. I'm going to cheat. Actually, I've got a 2 for my first pick. One of them is a nostalgia pick, and this is going to be a tough one for most people to sort of enjoy or be interested in. But first time I came to Japan in 1990. I went to a show, and it was Rose, Tetsuare, Poison Arts. It was at Antinoc in Tokyo. I can still remember it pretty vividly. It was in August. It was super hot. I think it was my last night in Tokyo, and I saw this band. This band also played that show, and they never put a record out back in the day. They did one demo tape, then they broke up, and F.O.A.D, of course, has come along to the rescue and put it out on vinyl. I'm talking about Unhuman, Society Death. Very, very, very obscure band. One demo tape in 1989. But for me, I never, ever thought that, all these years later, I'll be getting to hear this band, let alone, on vinyl. And, they were decent. It's kind of death thrash with a 1 foot in Japanese hardcore. Very, very close to Rose. They were very good friends with Rose, so they did a lot of gigging with Rose. But for me, it's so nice. It takes me right back to that night, in August 1990, Tokyo. But yeah, it's for maniacs only, absolutely. And I was kind of hoping that that gig flyer will be in the booklet, because they put all the old stuff, but
nice.
It isn't in there. It's not in there. Maybe I don't know why. But this is a good one though. You can see I have Unhuman, Society Death, and then with SOB in like small letters. Who designed this fly? Like that. But look at that. Come on.
That's sick as fuck, dude. That's cool.
Yeah, but most of the gigs are with Rose, and Yuki Pikes, and there you go. That's the one. Just I don't know, look at that Death Grind Party, Unhuman Society, Death with Rose, and Sterilizer. Yeah,
how's the sound quality on that?
It's decent. I mean, very well recorded, like studio demo tape.
Oh, nice.
Decent, but it's in that sort of death thrash grind. I mean, it says on the cover for fans of Rose, S.O.B, and Satanic Hell Slaughter. If anybody remembers Satanic Hell Slaughter,
yeah,
I'm definitely gonna check this out. This sounds like something I might like, and I have never heard of this band before, so definitely gonna investigate.
It is like a hard sort of not sell, but a pitch, because for me it's all about the nostalgia of like seeing them, and then they broke up, and then so it's kind of cool to have this document all these years later. So this came out at the end of last year. And my second pick is also Japanese. I'm excited to show this one. You know what? I think Jesse's watching, actually. I think it was Jesse who kind of tipped me off to this band like years and years ago, probably 10, 11 years ago. What became of this band? They could have been huge. If you like Frampton and Kriegshog, everyone loves Frampton and Kriegshog.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But like, imagine if Frampton and Kriegshog sort of came from like the Japanese metal punk scene instead of like the cross scene. This is kind of what this band would actually. Robert, no, I don't think they did. Robert, I think one of the members actually passed away last year, but I don't think maybe one of the members was in Rose afterwards. But yeah, I'm talking about this band now, Visitor.
Oh, either. I've never heard that, man.
Yeah, I think it's another kind of obscure one. High Speed Savage. It came out in the UK on Imminent Destruction Records, and it came out on CD in Japan. I think this is all they did, and then they kind of disappeared. Remember that band Metal Skull? Remember that band? They had the split.
No, I don't recall that one either.
They had the split LP with Gates. Japanese metal punk. That's got hard band. And I didn't like this too much, actually. Jesse's kind of laughing. I wasn't that taken by it then, but I pulled it out the other day and I was like, man, this is great. So it's kind of like Frampton and Kriegshog, but like with riffs, like kind of metallic riffs and like almost lip cream style guitar soloing over the top.
Right. I could definitely get down with that.
It's really good.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I mean, this band could have been, something. But you got to look at this. Come on, it's like,
oh yeah,
in the bar drinking. It's funny. It's like bottles of Hugh Garden. I think they're drinking, like trying to look tough, drinking Hugh Garden beer. And this has 2 bonus tracks that aren't on the CD. They don't need to be on here. They're the worst songs. But Green Smoke, Pink Smoke is one of the bonus tracks. But yeah. Good stuff. Noisy, like Crusher Crust meets like Japanese hardcore meets like Japanese like metal.
And what year is that from?
2015.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
which is like almost a decade ago now, which doesn't feel like that should be right.
Yeah, almost 10 years old, right? But yeah, I mean, I don't know why. Like I said, it came out on CD in Japan, came out in the UK on Imminent Destruction, and then they were kind of gone. But definitely check. I mean, if you can, good record.
Yeah, you got my attention.
Nice.
There you go. That's my first 2 picks.
Already squeezing in the extra.
So are we skipping you next round? Or?
Yeah, no. I couldn't separate these 2. They had to be a set,
Mike's the host. The rules don't apply to him.
No. All right. Hazel, what's your first pick?
All right. So last time I was on, before my first pick, I said that there were 2 records that had come out this year that were vying for favorite of the year for me, and I didn't have the one yet because it wasn't out yet. Now it's out.
Oh.
So now I can show everyone in news that will surprise absolutely no one. Alement LP, Banished Sphere. The vinyl's out on Desolate Records. The tape is out on Archaic, Evelyn's label, same as the Axia record. Yeah. I figured one or both of us was going to do it. It's just a matter of like who was first.
Won the draw. Nice.
So Philly record, Philly band. For those of you who are not familiar, some of the like toppest tier of the current crust crop. Like there's a lot of really good bands doing the style right now. I'm having a great time, but this one is like super, super, super top tier. Like, you know, if you're going to if you're going to buy like a small selection of recent crust releases, I would say this should be like at the absolute top of your list. It's like memorable songwriting, really powerful riffs and galloping drums, and just like great musicianship, great songwriting. Doesn't sound generic at all. It's like the perfect example of playing within the traditions of a genre, but still sounding totally fresh and awesome. And like I saw them a couple years ago when I think they were first starting to play stuff that ended up on this. I went to Philly to a show at Cousin Danny's. Steve, you were there as them in Decomp in like the other November. And so I'm up front. I had not seen this band yet. I'm up front and I'm looking at the set list, and there's a song on it called Stormbringer. And I freaked out about that because I love my sword and sorcery novels. And I'm like, this is the coolest band ever. And it's a great song, great record, really cool cover art, really like distinctive looking, cool, like black pen and ink work, high contrast, like the visual element is there, the music is there. Top, yeah, you've got a better camera. Thank you.
I'm like, you're kind of way I can model it for you.
Excellent. Yeah, super great release. And like this and the Axia record are like fighting it out for my album of the year. And it kind of just depends on whichever one I've listened to most recently. Yeah. So that's my first pick, and tied for first pick of my 2024 favorites.
Nice. Are we sort of talking like traditional UK crust style?
Yeah. It's heavy. It's like there's fast parts, but it's not like crust core. It's not like doom or like that, you know, the grindier end of crust. Right. It's a lot more on the like big riffs, but like axe grinder kind of stuff.
Yeah, I feel like they rarely, if ever, play a D beat. It's all just like lots of changes, lots of like intricate parts. And yeah, like that's their first LP technically, but the band's been playing together for like over 10 years. And you can tell just in how tight they are and how tight their compositions are. Like they put out so many demo tapes and EPs and what have you leading up to this. So it's like so cool to finally have their LP in my hands. And, you know, I've been friends with these guys since they were literally teenagers. So it's like fun watching them come up and like really grow into the band that they are now. And I couldn't be more proud of them, like just releasing such a crushing, monumental crust record in the age of crust as we are in right now. So
yeah.
As a live band, like there's only 3 people, and it's rare to hear a band with one guitar sound like as full and as crushing as they do. Like you don't. Sometimes you see a band and they've got one guitar and a bass, and it's just like it doesn't sound right. With them, like you're not missing anything. It's perfect.
Yeah, they're all very dialed in with their tones and everything for sure.
So if I was to buy one crust record this year, that could be that would be it.
That could be a good contender, yeah. Right. It would be a good choice.
But another one just came out a couple of days ago.
Yeah, that's gonna throw off all of our lists.
We'll save that.
I'm like refusing to listen to it until I get the record.
All right. I know that record is in shops in stores here, so we'll see.
Yeah, it's out on Desolate, so you know it's in good company. You know, Desolate's been putting out a lot of great crust nonstop. So yeah, I think it actually came out the same day as the Life Destruct split, and you know, may have gotten a little overshadowed by that, but like absolutely a worthy contender and worthy of a listen or 5 because it's a great solid record.
When you said Stormbringer, Hazel, the first thing that I immediately thought of was the Deep Purple.
Yeah.
Right?
Bonus points for,
yeah, there's so many songs called that. I just found a new one online like the other day. I totally forget what band it was, but there's so many tendrils of influence from those books in metal and punk and all that, and I'm a fan.
Nice. All right, Stephen, what's your first pick? What you got?
All right. Well, I feel like I accidentally must have got the wrong memo because I thought today was a different episode. I thought today was a theme episode. I thought this was the all polka episode. So I got all the hits there. I got Polka Date with Ray.
That's next week.
I got Polka Party. I got Polka Picnic. I mean, I got all the hits. Well, luckily for you guys, I got a big order in this week from Sorry State Records, my hands down favorite record store in the U.S. I know Daniel and Jeff have been on the show a bunch. Cheers, guys, for putting out and distroing so many great records. So thankfully, I got a lot of good stuff I can pull in a pinch here.
Cool.
And, my first pick today is going to actually be one of my most anticipated LPs of 2024. I love this band's first two records. I've been really looking forward to this one. I finally got it in the mail this week, and I've been listening to it pretty much nonstop. And it is the new LP by Strawman Army.
Oh, yeah.
There goes one of my next week's picks. There you go.
Sorry to steal your thunder, Mike. Yeah, I was like, I wanted to make sure it was my first pick today because I had a chance that might be in someone else's stack, and I really wanted to talk about this record because I love it so much. So, yeah, this really builds and exceeds on the strengths of the first two. If you're familiar with that, they kind of play this very interesting form of like anarcho-punk that like incorporates a lot of like almost like post-rock and like post-hardcore and like prog and like hints of jazz. Like they're all over the place, but like they do it in a way that doesn't sound gimmicky or like cheesy or anything. Like just all really, really well written and really thoughtful. And the lyrics too are like one of my favorite parts of this band. It's like the lyrics are all just very they're simultaneously both like urgent and timeless. And like on the opening track they sing like it's called Look Alive, and they sing peace and wrath, they coexist. Think every year gets worse and worse. We all have hopes and dreams at first. And it's like just poetry. And I love it. But like, and then like set to the music too. It's just like, it's this total package. And then they always do a really nice job with their packaging too. Like this is like a nice gatefold LP here. And it's got like a nice full poster lyric sheet on the inside. So, just like all the classic anarcho bands. So yeah, I've been very, very excited to hear this record, finally dropped. I've been listening to it a whole bunch. And yeah, this was put out on the D4MT Labs label, which is I think like people from Kaleidoscope and Tower 7. They're all involved in all these bands together. Okay. So they're, and all those bands I feel are they're all from New York, and they're all just doing like really innovative and crucial kind of punk for these times that we're in. And while the first two records, like the first one, they really talked about like America's past and like all the skeletons in our closet. Second one was really like urgent about like how messed up things are now. And then this record is like almost dares to be like a little bit hopeful and imagine like a post-imperialist future. On one of the songs they sing, the cord will snap, it'll come on fast, America will never last. And there's another song where they sing decay is your friend, even empires end. And I think they're like kind of the vibe. And like I feel like I can't talk about this record without addressing after all your watchers and listeners are asking the same question. Steve, are you related to Luigi Mangione? And, no relation. Unfortunately, apparently his family's very rich. I wish I was a distant cousin now. But I feel like this record's got that big Luigi Mangione energy to it. It's like society is collapsing. Like fight back while you still can, before anything gets even worse.
Yeah, that's an amazing. It's kind of amazing how they managed to sort of top the first two.
Oh yeah,
records. And then there's like those little kind of free jazzy like interludes and stuff, which you would think, but it just works so well.
Yeah, there's like parts that remind me of like Television. There's parts that remind me of the band Unwound. I don't know if you guys are familiar with them, but like one of my favorite kind of like post-hardcore bands. Yeah, it's like they make it all work though. It's just like the more anarcho parts, like they remind me of like the melodies of like Zounds and Crisis, like all that kind of like just really melodic sensibilities. So yeah, just all flows together so nicely. And yeah, they put out like 3 perfect LPs now in my opinion. Like they're exactly what I want from a punk band these days. So I hope they keep doing it. But they've really put together a nice little trilogy here. So if you're not familiar with the band Strawman Army, check out all their records. Highly recommended. This one just came out. They have 2 more LPs that came out before this, and it's all really great stuff.
Cool. Yeah, I haven't actually got my copy yet, but it's waiting.
I listened to that one once so far. I don't actually have it yet, so it's just like a trial run, but I'm definitely going to get it. Like it sounded like a really cool release that needs a lot of like in-depth listens. Like, first time I heard it, I was like, this is good, but this is the kind of thing that I'm going to want to like sit and dissect.
Yeah. yeah, there's a lot to like pour over for sure. Like I
Mhm.
love this one of the few bands where I really love to just sit down and listen to it and read the lyrics at the same time. Like I usually don't have the patience for that, but like this is a band where I'm like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna find all these interesting little clues and tidbits in here, and it's gonna make it even more exciting for me. So definitely a band I get a lot of replay value out of.
Yeah, definitely. I think so too. There's definitely like some sounds in there as well. Quite a bit of sounds in there in the guitar work and stuff.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Before I forget, there are people who watch this show who like don't watch. And what I mean by that is they just listen to it. So I've been told, make sure that like you say the name of the record and the title, because there's some people who are, so just that's a kind of note to myself too, because I often forget to say what I'm. So I'm so excited, just like forget to say what I'm talking about.
That was me last week. I was sitting on the floor folding zines for my box set, and I kept having to like get up and come over and see what people were talking about.
What's that?
Nice.
All
right, Dan, what's your first pick?
All right, so my first pick is a record that came out this year. And you know, it's funny because like going back to Strawman Army, like there's something really cool that like, you know, the lyrics of that band just really caught my attention, and you know, they seem really sophisticated, and even with the music. But this pick is kind of on the other end of the spectrum, where it's just fucking party music for the sake of being party music. And it came out this year by General Speech. General Speech put it out. It's Ejaculators Wank Generation. And this fucking thing it's just really quick 7-inch of just fucking party songs, real cool dancey kind of synth punk. I don't want to say synth punk, but it's like punk with synth in it. But it's like really fun. Just, you know, it's kind of band. They're kind of band that you would want to see in a dirty ass living room at a house show, you know. And it's just like a lot of fun. It's really cool. I haven't been able to stop spinning this thing. I mean, especially on like cleaning my house or doing something like a chore I don't feel like fucking doing. I throw this on. It makes it 10 times fucking better. But yeah, this came out on General Speech. I want to say a few months ago.
It's pretty new, right?
I can't show the entire cover because it's fucking porn. Let's just a little sultry, but it's really cool. And I love the packaging on it. Just like the way that Tom put it together. It's real slick. One thing I do like about this band too is it's members of Ignorantes and Mock Execution. It doesn't really sound anything like those bands at all. So it's kind of cool, little, you know, like a change of direction for, you know, for those dudes that are writing this music. But this thing it's a lot of fun. It's, you know, I'm really stoked to hear what they do next. So it's just party music for the sake of fucking party music. I love a good party punk record, you know, for as fucked up as shit is right now. Sometimes it's good to throw something on like this. And the lyrics are just like kind of like this whole fuck you vibe. So it's just real snotty, real dancey kind of punk music. So this thing, if you haven't heard it, definitely fucking check it out.
I'd read that it was like members of Mock Execution, and it was like, yeah, it's wild. Such a different sort of direction for those guys, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Mock Execution's great too. Yeah, like I saw them and Ignorantes live, you know, I think last year when they were on tour, and yeah, both great live bands. So I missed Ejaculators unfortunately when they came through, but yeah, I heard the same thing, that they're just a great live band, like a lot of energy, like yeah, like you said, like the kind of music you want to like pogo on your couch in the living room too. Like
yeah. You know, I haven't gotten a chance to see them yet. I'm like dying to see them play live. So it's you know, maybe soon one day.
Nice.
But, yeah.
All right. Well, that went quick. Round one.
Yeah.
You got 4 experienced guests. You know, we're efficient.
Yeah, you wait.
What's that first round of beer?
The first beer. Yeah. About 4 beers in, I start fucking rambling and just talking nonsense, especially, you know, shit that's all wrong.
15 minutes on a live front tape. Dan, I think the last time you were on, Dan, didn't you show that like that Battle Axe LP? Was that the last time you were on?
I think it might have either the last time or the time before that. Yeah.
With the like fantastic, like amateurish, like artwork.
Oh yeah.
Love it. And I have a different version of that record, the French version, which has another equally sort of bad in a different way kind of artwork. But this,
Oh, that's badass.
but my next pick, actually my pick after that, both kind of remind me of that Battle Axe record in a kind of way. This is also new record out of LA. This band was in Japan a few months ago. I missed them. It's a bit of a long story, but they played in Osaka, and they were supposed to play at a certain time. They'd come from LA, but the promoter put them on like 2 hours before the publicized time that they were supposed to play. So they played in the afternoon, and like a lot of people in Osaka didn't see them. They kind of arrived at the gig place and they'd already played, which just kind of sucked for the band, I want to say. But they played other towns too, which I'm sure they had a great time. But yeah, LA band. I've talked about another band that one or two of the members are or were in, and that band is Artificial Joy.
I know you're talking about. Yeah.
This is another band. I don't know how many members, maybe one member or two members. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah.
But this is a great record. It's just come out on Ryoji's No Norms Records. First of all, let's have a look at the glorious.
Oh yeah.
What's not to love about this? It's basically perfect. You know, look at it. Amazing, absolutely amazing. SOH, Cost to Live. This is very varied. It's like there's a lot of things going on. Like some of the songs are sort of more UK 82. Some of the songs are more like a little bit more D-beatish. Some of the songs are a little bit more metallic. There's a couple of songs that are very sort of Japanese sounding with like $1 million riffs. And as well as the sort of variation, the singer Christine she's a vocal chameleon, and sometimes in one song she can go from like the sort of the higher pitched kind of comes sounding tone to like a sort of more raspy Town from Sacrilege tone to like a crust growl, like kind of all in one song. And sometimes that doesn't always work so well, but I think in the case of this band it works like really, really well. Yeah, it's a great record.
I just got one of their other records in the mail on Monday too, and it's not in my pile because I haven't listened to it yet, but it's also got that same kind of like very colorful, like, weird art. Yeah.
Look at it. It's amazing. It's hard to see, but it's like quite badly drawn in some parts, which is great, you know. And I guess this is Christine, the singer, sort of running down the street away from the nuclear explosion. It says Dead End.
I think the other person in that is probably going to be Andy. Yeah, the little dude on the side.
This dude?
Yeah, I think so. That might be, if I'm not, because he's kind of like drawn in there on the last one too.
He's like,
yeah.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's even better, actually.
Yeah. And they're really cool people too. So shouts out to them for sure. SOH, all the LA homies and shit. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, Christine, Daniel, Andy, and Ruben are the four members. Split release between No. Hazel, I think you're muted.
Oh, so I am. Yeah. My heater is like really loud, so I keep muting myself. But yeah. All right. So yeah, this is the other one that I got that also has incredible cover art where they're like at a bar and some of them are skeletons, and I need to get that one still.
It's great, you know. It's like it really holds your attention. You know, there's a lot of variation going on. Yeah, great guitar solos. Yeah, really good. You know, doesn't really fall into kind of one easy to categorize sort of genre. It's a lot of different things going on. What is that? Is that the split with Skit Class from Japan, or is that another thing again?
No, it's a 7-inch, and I think it's self-titled. I'm not sure. I just like tossed it in my cart at the last minute because I liked what I'd heard of them.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm not sure. It's not a split. I'm guessing, like I said, I'm guessing it's self-titled, but okay. I haven't listened to it yet or really delved into it aside from the cover art, so I don't want to like say too much about it. It's had to pull this like skeletons at the bar with the sexy lady art up because it's incredible.
It's my favorite kind of bar.
Yeah, that's kind of It's not a lot of great detail on this. There's like not much to sort. It's all there. Actually, there's a sort of severed arm there, actually, which I didn't notice before. And I guess like this guy is like holding a crystal. Is that like a crystal ball or something? I don't know what he's doing. He's got like a.
It's an 8 ball of Coke.
There you go. That's not what it is. And then like there's sort of the top of someone's head, like right.
One of the things I like best about this band, like you were saying, is the fact that they're not like pigeonholable. Like there's something there that people who like a lot of different kinds of music would be into, and it captures like elements. It's like a quilt kind of. It's got like bits and pieces of a lot of different styles I like, but without neatly fitting into any one.
And it's not jarring. It's like, oh God, here's this song, here's that song, blah 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 blah. It kind of all flows like really nicely together.
Yeah, they're sick live too. Ghetto Final, we got to play with them in LA one time with them and Hot Load, and it was fucking badass shit. It was sick as fuck. Can't remember, it was in some small bar, but yeah, they're super good live, like incredible, really good people, and they fucking just kill it live too. So if you ever get a chance to catch SOH, definitely do that. They're sick.
Hello, Knuckle Dragon. You enjoying the show? Okay, Hazel, what's your second pick? What you got?
All right, we're doing another Philly one from a couple years ago that I like a lot. I don't know that it's really gotten a ton of attention because they dropped this in like 2020, which meant that they couldn't really like tour on it particularly.
Yeah,
but I've had it in rotation like pretty regularly ever since, and it is the Deep Tissue Patience or Fear LP. Out on Play Alone Records. And this one, we could easily call it like a post-punk record, but it's musically really diverse. There's elements of it that are more like straightforward punky sounding. There's some like dreamy pop sensibilities on it in places. There's like loads of different like shimmery guitar textures and beautifully like sung vocals. Just great songs all around. Like I've had all this record basically stuck in my head since it came out. Really good collection of songs that are all really distinct from each other. And like, I don't think they're still a band, but I know everybody in it is in like a million other projects at this point. And I'm like sad about that because I feel like this record should have gotten a lot more attention and appreciation than it did. And it's just like, the curse of bad timing. I got to see them a couple times and they were really good both times. And I always am like, please get back together. I just want to see you one more time. But I think they've all like moved on into other projects, unfortunately.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I remember when that record came out and I absolutely adored it. I mean, I think if they had been able to tour on that they could have been like, the band of the summer. Like that song Condolences, I probably listened to it like 5,000 times. It was like my hit jam of the summer of 2020. It's just so good and so catchy. And yeah, you're right. Like I remember they finally got to play a record release show like a year after it came out. And then they literally broke up the next day because the guitarist moved to the West Coast. And then they all kind of just scattered from there. But yeah, just a band that definitely did not get appreciated enough. Like such a great pick, such an amazing record.
And I think for people who are tired of like post-punk or whatever, like this would be a good one to check out because it is musically diverse. So if you like that style, but maybe are a little bit bored with it, this one's like a real standout. I think it's real unique and it's not just like straightforward post-punk. It's got a lot of other elements in there too.
Yeah, it's not too dreary. It's got like a lot of hooks, a lot of riffs. Like the vocalist is great, like you said, really powerful vocals. Just total package for a band.
Nice. And that's from 2022?
Yep.
Oh, that's what I definitely missed.
Yeah. I think most people did, unfortunately.
Yeah. I think everybody did. Like I kept telling people, I would run into them and be like, this record's really good. And they'd be like, I've never heard of this band. What is this?
And actually, Mike, you might find this interesting. The guitarist of that band, Jeff, he's now playing in a new band called Extradition with 3/4 of the members of the Ire. And they're doing very dark, post-punk, gothy kind of stuff. So yeah, that's what he moved on to do now. And yeah, it's another great band. So definitely recommend. I think they have like a demo tape out now, and definitely worth.
Yeah, they just toured. They played like Detroit. I think my friend either booked it or played it because I saw flyers around for it.
Yeah, they played Philly with Vosh when that was like their kickoff date for that little run.
Nice.
Yeah, Deep Tissue, one and done. Great band. Like
that's it. Just the one LP, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, and they had a demo before that too.
Oh yeah.
But that's it, I'm guessing. Yeah, Extradition are good.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
agree.
There you go. Hey, Rich.
Yeah, I feel like there was like a lot of like Wipers influence in like the guitar work and the songwriting too, which it's like I'm a huge Wipers fan, so it's also a big draw for me.
Maybe
I hear that too.
The post-punk thing's really sort of taken off, hasn't it? Like in the last couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a lot of it about.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of those bands just get like bogged down in like just trying to have like a gloomy texture and playing like the same 5 notes. It's it's like been commodified. So like this is like Hazel said, this is a band that really breaks that kind of that routine, if you will, and like does something really unique and just like really like prominent sounding.
We've talked about this before actually a little bit about like a lot of these bands, they have the correct sounds.
Yeah, like all the right pedals.
the right pedals, but they forgot
Yeah.
to write the right songs to go with.
You can't skip riff day, people.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So what we're saying is that band, it's not like one of those bands. They have the songs and
yeah, they had not one but 2 guitarists, and both really brought it. It's kind of like that first Television record where it's like 2 good guitarists on a punk record, but they're both like earning their keep. Like you couldn't get away with it with just one. Oh, Rachel, I could have some.
I'm out of touch enough with Philly, I can't guess.
I have no idea. All right, Steve, what's your next pick?
All right. So next up, we have another record I've been very heavily anticipating for 2024. Another New York band, and another one I was worried one of you guys might pull first. So that's why it's going to be my second pick tonight. But talking about Suffocating Madness's new LP called Unrelenting Forced Psychosis. There you can see some of that. Like, oh yeah.
I see a pattern developing.
Yeah, there's definitely a pattern developing between me and Hazel here. So you got one, I got one now. So we're tied. But yeah, this is a great New York band. This just came out. A follow up. They had an EP that came out in 2021, and this is their first 12-inch. And it's out on the label, the New York punk collective Toxic State. So it's got that really nice DIY handmade kind of aesthetic to it all. Classic Joe B artwork on the front, which is very, very colorful, very eye-popping. And yeah, this band, they're made up of members of like Extended Hell, Savage Pleasure, Inferno, Subversive Right. So like a lot of like great New York bands, a lot of great people have been playing a lot of great music for a long time. So everyone's like bringing their A game here, and like this record is like it's still like firmly hardcore punk. It's not like a full-on crust record like my some of my other choices. But it definitely has some of that like kind of like flashy metal influence that especially a lot of that like old UK punk used to do. Like there's definitely like some like really flashy metal solos and like some like little metal riffs that they'll dip into. Kind of reminds me of like later era Anti-Sect, before they reformed. But like Out from the Void kind of era, like those like little like punky metal riffs. And also it kind of reminds me a little bit of, like that modern UK band Stingray. I feel like they're kind of mining some of the same territory too. So definitely some similarity there. But I think like nothing exemplifies this better than the fact that they cover Onslaught's Thermonuclear Devastation of the Planet Earth, which is like Onslaught's most D-beat song. So it's like that perfect example of like the British metal D-beat punk hardcore crossover, mishmash, just all that great stuff all together. So and then like the closing track on this, Their Legacy Shall Die, it's got this really kind of like sneaky speed metal riff to it that I just fucking, it's like a real and then it ends with this really fiery lead and it just kind of fades out the end. It's just like one of those records you want to just keep flipping over and over again because you're just like, it's like so fast, so urgent, and just really solid from beginning to end. So I've been looking forward to this a lot, and it has not disappointed at all.
That's a workout of a record.
I've decided no more records this year. No more.
You only got 2 more weeks, Mike.
It's December 13th. You gotta, You've got to close the lid of the coffin at some point.
I know, just all these heaters coming out the last minute. Like, I feel bad for anyone who made their like end of year list in November. I'm like, you fucked up. Like, there's so much.
Yeah,
good
yeah.
stuff.
You should. I feel like people shouldn't start that until like January when they start.
I always do mine in January because it's like
Yeah,
I'm just looking behind, but it's like I gotta hear it all first.
Yeah, that Suffocating Madness LP is sick, man. I've been waiting for that one to come out for a long, long time. Ever since they put out that little demo tape with, I don't know if you caught that one. They did like some songs they demoed, and then they did. It was like half new stuff, right? And then like half covers and shit like that. So I've been waiting for that one since the fucking first 7-inch. I spun the fuck out of the first 7-inch, man. So yeah, that LP really delivers. It's sick.
Yeah, it's like that and the Savage Pleasure record were two records I've been greatly looking forward to this year. And yeah, Hazel already talked about Savage Pleasure on her last visit, so it's like I've been like now I have both of them in my hands, and then like that and like then the Strawman Army. It's like my New York Holy Trinity now. I'm like, oh, the 3 LPs I've been waiting for. So I'm a happy man now.
The riffs on this one are amazing. Like there's so many just totally like fresh sounding, powerful, like awesome solos on it, but it never overstays its welcome. It's like exactly what I want to hear in terms of like guitar wankery on a punk record, where it doesn't feel like, all right, guys, knock it off, it's too much. It's like always suits the song. And I like the fact they've got like, I'm not sure how many different members of the band sing, but they've got like a bunch of different people doing vocals on it too, which always adds a lot of cool texture.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's got a lot of what I like to refer to as like Jesse riffs. Like if you're a fan of like Extended Hell, I feel like you can pick out a Jesse riff from like a mile away. And like, this is like his new band now, and he's just, delivering that same kind of just top tier, memorable punk riffage. And then I think the other guitarist might play in Savage Pleasure, so he must be the one who brings more of that kind of metal edge to it, I would bet. But yeah, just a really, really nice. And yeah, definitely not a crust band, so it's safe for you, Mike. You can check it out and enjoy it.
Yeah, I think you'll dig it, dude. It's good.
Yeah, it's like a super burly punk record, and like it's the kind of thing that like people who like a lot of different styles would find something to enjoy in.
Yeah, good way to put it. Yeah,
I'll give in. I'm sorry.
And more money, Mike.
Like Poncho's in the band too, so like he's the vocalist in this one. So like anything that dude puts out too is usually pretty fucking good too.
Yeah.
So I really like it.
Just look how colorful that is. That's some eye popping stuff. I feel like my camera's not even doing it justice here. Like,
yeah, Joe B's been on one. I love this style and like all this color he's putting into his artwork now. It's really
he's been doing a lot of great stuff lately. Like, so glad bands.
Yeah, it's awesome. If you told me on paper like it's going to be a primary color scheme, I'm like, I don't know, but he makes it work.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. All right. I'm definitely going to be checking that one out. Absolutely. I'm sold. All right, Dan, what's your next pick?
All right, so this band, or this next record I have, this next pick, I had no idea about this band at all. I never even heard the name. But so to kind of preface this, like Get Off Me Now went to tour in Europe, and we did just a couple of weeks out there, and we played in Pula, Croatia. And I had no idea about any kind of like hardcore that had come out of Croatia at all. But the show that we played was cool, and it was at Monte Paradiso, real famous squad that has like a lot of fests there. So the people that we're hanging out with after the gig were partying all fucking night, and like I was hanging out with this young dude, and we're like talking about Texas rap and just like just shooting the shit about that. And then it's out of nowhere, he's like, "Oh, you know what? You need this record." And I was like, "Okay, cool." So he goes back to the back, pulls out this fucking record, and it's this band Anti-Od-Pod, and it's some fucking really badass like Croatian hardcore from the 90s. And I wasn't expecting him to pull that out, but I had no idea what this was. I was like, "What is this?" He's like, "Oh, dude, this is like the best thing to come out of Croatia." So it's really fucking sick. It's kind of got like, it's definitely got more, it's got a bit of like a Wretched kind of influence, like, because, Croatia is a little bit close to Italy, but it's really, really good shit. And it's even like a little bit of US hardcore influence there, but it doesn't sound like the 90s at all. It sounds like kind of produced like in the way like a lot of like Japanese 80s hardcore is, where it's real kind of lo-fi and shit. But it's really good shit. And what's kind of surprising to me too is, you know, with the war that was happening over there, the lyrics are more kind of about social things, like things in everyday life. Like the name of the band is like Anti-Waste, and the title of the record, I can't say that. I don't want to fucking butcher that because I don't speak Croatian, but it translates to I'm angry at this world. So there's a lot of that, like really pissed off, cool fucking punk songs. And this one was actually re-released by Monte Paradiso Records. So I guess the Squat actually has their own label too, but
wow.
it's called Monte Paradiso Reloaded, which I think is a cool fucking name for that. It's like a bad action movie fucking like sequel. So it's like Reloaded. I'm like, all right, cool. But this shit's like, yeah, this is really really good. I can't recommend it enough. But like, I had no idea about Croatian hardcore music before I heard this, and I was like, damn, this shit rips. Real cool songs, real catchy stuff in here. Just straightforward hardcore. Like I said, it's got some Wretched influence there, some Italian hardcore influence, some US hardcore influence. It's fucking, it's the shit. It's really good.
Yeah, I can't think of another Croatian band like, off the top of my head, like straight
Yeah,
away.
Right? You know, it was fucking wild, man. You know, and it's funny that like we weren't even fucking talking about hardcore at all. And the dude's just like, oh, you know what? You need this record. Hold on. And he comes back and he's got this thing. I'm like, dude, what? Like, we were just talking about Big X and fucking like, you know, Dirty South rap and shit like that. But I mean, you know, we were partying all fucking night. This had to have been like at fucking 4 a.m. in the morning too. So like, but yeah, it's sick as fuck. So if you can, I think it's online to hear, but if you can get a copy of it, it's pretty cool. Comes on slick white vinyl. But yeah, like you said, man, I couldn't think of one Croatian hardcore band at all. And this definitely fucking stands out. It's really, really good.
And did you say that originally came out in the 90s?
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna say it was like 1992, but this re-release came out in 2018.
Yeah,
right. And that's like that was his own copy that he gave you.
Yeah. He's like, you know what? You need this. And you know what? Fucking, I don't know how the hell this thing survived the whole tour, man, because like we didn't go any record shops at all to get a mailer. So this thing was just fucking chilling in our van the entire time, like getting beat to hell. So I'm fucking so happy it survived.
Nice.
Me too.
That record undertook quite a journey to be on the show today.
I know, dude. I'm like, here we are, man. Yeah. Actually,
that's definitely the first Croatian record we've had, I think, being talked about. Definitely.
97 episodes, still breaking new ground. Love it.
Yeah, man. The first for Pula hardcore history, first one on the show. This fucking record, check it out. It's fucking awesome.
Nice. There you go.
Definitely adding that to the to listen to list. It sounds cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great. All right. I'm going to continue on with my great artwork series. This is a new record too. You know what? I haven't really seen people like talking about this record, and I think, you know, in the places where we sort of hang out, but I feel like people should have been talking about it a little bit more. It is on Discos Enfermos. It's new. It's from Chile. It has an amazing cover. The band name is as primitive as their music. Let's have a look at what I'm talking about. Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
They've made the band name into some sort of weaponry. I don't know. Flying V, which somehow is, you know, being put into the spikes of the motorbike, but his blood is coming out of the stock head. Lots of skulls, some burning, like some castles. Bottom. Yeah. So Chile, I think this is one member of Muro. At least one member. I think the drummer is from Muro.
Oh, okay.
This is like primitive, sort of like caveman, super cavernous. It's kind of like there's a lot of sort of primitive influences. It's sort of like the most primitive oi that you can think of.
Yeah.
There's also sort of a bit of that sort of ultra metal. You know what I mean? Like Parabellum and Reincarnation, like super, like primitive, inept, lo-fi metal from Brazil or South America. Like, but mostly it's kind of punky. Or
Oh yeah.
I felt like more people should be talking about this record. It's one of my favorites from the
I was
year.
looking up to catch this band live. They played Philly right before Skullfest, so it was like the middle of August when like Philly's at its absolute hottest, and they were playing this like hot ass warehouse that had no air conditioning, and they come on stage, they're all wearing leather jackets. So I'm like, ooh, they're gonna regret that in about 5 minutes. And like, yeah, by the end of the set, they were all like covered in sweat. Like I think like at one point the guitarist was carrying the singer around on his shoulders. The singer was like bleeding from his mouth within the first 5 minutes. It was so punk. I loved it. It was like everything I wanted. Like,
it sounds like that. It just sounds like so. I don't. Oh yes, the name of the band is. We did say it, but it probably wasn't obvious. Argh.
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 I think it's pronounced Argh.
I'm pronouncing it wrong. I'm sorry.
you just gotta say it like
The record's called Se Pudrio Todo. Adios. Yeah, it's just it's very like dense and dark.
Yeah.
But also kind of very catchy, and they're not afraid to experiment. There's a saxophone on one song.
Yeah.
There's some like cheap keyboards on another song or two. There's a song called Dungeon Crisis, which I thought was pretty hilarious. And the intro, it's like this very short kind of instrumental intro, which really reminds you of like old. You know when you go and see a Japanese hardcore band, and they like the guitarist and the bass player and the drummer are on stage, and they start sort of like this intro, and then like about a minute in, like the singer comes out like a sort of pro wrestler, from the audience. It's like that. It's like this kind of instrumental like build up, to the record. Great, Chilean cavernous caveman core.
Yeah.
That's what I'm calling it. Great record. Great.
Yeah, another funny thing about them when they the show that they played, it was at like a DIY space. So I was just drinking like a bottle of wine during their set, and afterwards I was like talking to some of the guys, and they're like, "Are you drinking wine? Like, can we have a sip?" And I was like, "Sure." And they're like, "You have to come to Chile. Like, we have so much wine. It's so cheap. It's everywhere." I'm like, "Oh, you guys got my attention now."
But I think they come out of that like community space. Is it the Rat Trap? It's like a punk collective where Muro and Alambrada and Unidada, Udialogica and Ataque and no, that's another thing I meant to say, but this is Chile.
Yeah.
Chile, yeah.
Chile, yeah.
The drummer from Inyection is the singer in that band.
Okay.
Yeah. We saw them play at Latino Punk Fest in New York City, and they fucking stole the show. They're fucking amazing live. Just like the singer with his like, he's got this real demented like kind of, mannerisms in his face, his facial expressions, and he's got this kind of swagger when he sings, and like he does get on the shoulders of the guitar player, and it's really fucking cool, man. But yeah, they were definitely a band you gotta catch live if you really enjoy the record, because they play real well too. It comes off real well live. And one cool thing I liked about I have a funny story about their singer. Like when he was outside next to their merch booth, he had some fucking bootleg shirts, and he had a fucking Blue Hearts bootleg shirt, and I've never seen a bootleg Blue Hearts shirt. So I was like, I'm fucking buying that right now, dude.
Nice.
Yeah,
this is great. Did I say that someone from Muro was in this band? I was completely spacing out. There's nobody from Muro in this band. This is a band from Chile.
Yeah, as I say, like Colombia's up here and Chile.
Yes. It wasn't a geographical mistake. It was reading my notes wrongly. Mistake. But, there you go. Great record. Definitely in my. It's supposed to be a top 10, right? I don't think I'm going to be able to make a top 10. Top 30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think they played out here. I think they just did like actual East Coast shows, but I saw flyers going around for that. I hadn't actually heard them, and now I'm sold. I need to hear this.
It's great.
They might have been on one of the Skullfest shows, like maybe one of the Thursday night shows.
Oh, interesting.
But I missed Thursday because another fun fact about that show was I got COVID at it. the first time I ever had COVID. And then I just barely cleared it like a week later in time for Skullfest, which my band Nightfall was playing. So like it was like literally a countdown. Like Friday morning, I was like testing every morning. Friday morning, I tested negative, and I was like, I can go finally. Like, let's go. But I was like,
hell yeah, let's fucking party, dude.
those like South American bands I just saw like a week ago where I got sick, didn't get sick too, and thankfully they all made it to Skullfest. They all made it through their tour without getting COVID, so they were luckier than I.
Cool. All right, Hazel, what's your next pick?
All right. So we're gonna do something a little different. I'm pick some musically diverse selections for my first three today. This isn't really a punk record at all. It's very rock.
Nice.
We're doing the Zone Trooper LP that just came out on Blackwater.
Yeah.
And as with many of their releases, you have to highlight that this is the limited version. So this is the standard cover art, but it has bonus alternate cover. They're like cowboy hanging out on the horse in the mountains. And it comes with this really cool comic.
Oh, whoa.
With this pastel desert scenery on it. With our cowboy guy shooting stuff and dying in the desert. Their skulls. It's like really, really cool. And definitely worth the like extra money to get the limited edition for it, just for the packaging alone, because it's all like gorgeous. And the back has this like cool cowboy photo hanging out. Musically, it's like this really interesting mix of rock and also some like synth, like soundtracky sounding stuff. The rock songs, it's got a very strong like 70s rock, like really early Judas Priest, early new wave of British heavy metal, like a little bit of Tank. There's some stuff on here that reminds me a little bit of the new wave of British heavy metal band Wolf, who put out like 1 7-inch with Creatures of the Night on it on the B-side, which I always said was going to be like, if I was a pro wrestler, that would be like a potential entrance theme, because it starts with this like cool kind of like psychedelic swirly riff and stuff, and then it gets like harder from there. It's neat.
Love it.
But there's like a lot of cool like synth stuff on here in between the rock songs, and it makes them hit harder when they start. Like it starts off with this kind of movie soundtrack, you synthy like intro thing, and then you get to the first like big song on here, Shoot the Sun Down, which they actually did a music video for, and it's like it sounds so huge when it first hits. I'm not like a big music video supporter generally, but this music video is actually awesome. Like it's got everybody hanging out in the desert like smoking and shooting stuff, and there's like a fight, and it's great. It's like a real cool like multimedia multi-format like performance art project, as much as it is just a band. And it definitely like it's a little on the like dramatic and campy side, but it totally works.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
Love
and I don't think they're live. I think they're just like a project.
That's awesome.
Is there anybody from like punk bands doing this like this kind of project?
Yeah, so I'm not sure of all of their pedigree, but they've been in a million bands. The one guy, Brian, was in Genogeist, and Adam from Rigorous Institution is in this.
Oh, okay.
And some of that same like kind of theatrical like performance elements that you get in like the Rigorous Institution set also come through in this. Like if you watch the video, you're like, oh, this makes perfect sense. But it's like his robe and like spell book and everything act, but as a cowboy, and it works.
Wow.
Yeah,
and like my friend John did a lot of their art, so he did the like comic for it. He does a lot of the art for Portland bands and did like some of the Hellshock records and tons of other things. Really great work. But this in particular, I told him, I was like, this color scheme on here is so perfect, because it's the like turquoise and pink pastels and then like a little bit of gold to warm it up. I'm like, this is hanging on the wall worthy.
Nice.
Yeah, I've been seeing that pop up in some distros, but yeah, I haven't given it a listen yet because there's been too many new records to get.
Yeah.
Same problem.
Right.
Same problem.
You said a lot of things that just like really piqued my interest about, like, because I mean I love new wave of British heavy metal, and I've seen the name Zone Trooper. I haven't given them a listen, so I'm like, as soon as we get off the air, I'm definitely gonna fucking throw that shit on. Check it
Yeah,
out.
it's like give it a listen and then watch the video. Like I don't usually recommend watching like music videos first, because for me I find it kind of distracting. So like listen to the record and then pull up the video and watch all the cowboys shooting each other in the desert and standing around smoking.
That's
Nice.
cool. Oh yeah.
Nice. This question has been asked before, I think, like a few weeks ago about like SOB. I've got like why haven't they reissued any of their records? Good
Yeah,
question.
Mike, didn't you just show a flyer that had SOB on them at the beginning?
Yeah, right at the beginning. Yeah, right at the beginning. Yeah, but I think it's because their later stuff was on a major label. Their earlier stuff was on Selfish Records, and some of the key members have like either passed away or moved on to other things. But they were kind of reissued at some point, but not recently though. Yeah, good question. Yeah, you know what does need a reissue is that What's the Truth? The SOB What's the Truth album
Oh yeah.
came out on Rise Above on vinyl. That's the one that really, really needs reissue. Yeah. All right, Steve. What's your next pick? What you got?
All right, so yeah, keeping it in the crust lane here. I've got something that's old but also kind of new. This record originally came out in 2005, but my good friend Nathan, who plays guitar in this band, recently mailed me a new copy of it because the band just remastered it and reissued it. And I am talking about Stormcrow and their debut album, Enslaved in Darkness. And hopefully, it's got some boobies on it. Hopefully, it doesn't get your channel shut down, Mike.
I think we're far enough into the episode now where the robots are not following us.
All right, great. Yeah. Yeah, this band's just part of that like really classic like early 2000s Bay Area crust wave. Like them and Skaven were two bands I always wish I could have seen, and I never got a chance. You know, they broke up before I was, ever able to make it over there. But yeah, I mean, this is just 5 crushing tracks of just really like monstrous metallic crust riffs, like full on Cookie Monster vocals. There's like bulldozer drums, like it's like more metal than punk. Absolute, like it's a metal crust album first and foremost, and it's like something I've owned for a long time. I've had like the original version from 2005 forever, and now this is the remastered version that Nathan just sent me, and it's nice. Yeah, you can tell a difference with the remaster, and then it also comes with this nice insert that the original didn't have, that has like a collage of the various band members. So I thought that was a fun addition, and if you do already own this record, I think it is worth picking up the new version as well. And Nathan, who plays guitar in this band, he also plays in Brain Oil, and he used to play with Destroy and Code 13 back in the day, like a long time ago. But he told me that in addition to reissuing this, they've started rehearsing live again, and I guess they're lining up some gigs for 2020. I think like the cat's out of the bag now, so it's safe for me to say this. But yeah, I mean, so I'm really excited that I may actually finally have my chance to see Stormcrow live, because they were always one of those bands I really wish I could have seen back in the day, but I just never made it out to San Francisco or Oakland or wherever they were mostly playing, and made it happen back in the day. But yeah, just absolutely great crust record, one I've loved forever. I mean, this band went on to do a bunch of splits after this too.
My old crust band Tolar played with them one time.
Oh, nice.
I can't remember where they were fucking. I do remember them being fucking crushing, just absolutely crushing. It was fucking cool.
Yeah, just it's only 5 songs, but it's just such a heavy record, and the songs just flow into each other so nicely. Like, it's just like a record you just want to bang your head to the entire time. So one I've loved for a long time. Really excited that's finally getting some more light on it again. A lot of these records just come and go, and then they're in the dustbin of history forever. So glad this is definitely one that deserves a revisiting, and glad to hear that the guys are dusting off the instruments and playing again. So really hoping I get a chance to see them sometime soon. Hint, hint, you guys.
I just got that like a couple months ago, and that was a record that like I didn't get when it came out because I didn't have a lot of money, so I like missed out on a lot of things. So I was really glad to get that reissue too. And super great record. I listen to it all the time. I wouldn't be mad about seeing them either.
Yeah.
I love Brain Oil. I didn't know there was a Brain Oil Stormcrow connection.
Yep. There you go. So
love Brain Oil. Yeah. Same guitar player?
Yeah, I think he plays guitar in both bands. Yep.
Wow.
You know, funny story about Brain Oil too. First time one of my bands ever played in LA, we were hanging out at Despotic Records. He had like a little record store, and Alan from Despotic had set up the tour for us. And so he just kind of like let us hang out in his record store during the day while he was like, you know, preparing for the show that night. And we pulled out like the first Brain Oil record. We're like, oh, cool, let's listen to this. We threw it on. And it's a 12-inch record, so we threw it on at like 33 RPM, and we're like, oh, this is a really cool sludge record. And we listened to the whole thing. And then like Alan came back. He's like, you guys have been listening to this record on the wrong speed the whole time. And we're like, oh, what? So we put it back on. Yeah, and we're like, oh, okay. So it's like one of those records that actually works at either speed. It's like it's either.
You know what? I did exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
And it does sound good on both speeds.
Yeah.
All right.
Hell yeah.
All right. Nice. Dan, what's your next pick?
All right, cool. So I'm gonna keep on the crusty fucking vibe we got going on here tonight, and I want to talk about let's talk about like UK punks when they started getting heavy and playing metal. So like there was like a good example is like Disattack members ended up doing Carcass, which was sick as fuck. But a lot of these bands cut their teeth by playing like hardcore punk shows back in the day, and so they would play with bands like, you know, Extreme Noise Terror, Bolt Thrower, you know, Chaos UK and shit like that. But the one band I wanted to fucking talk about is kind of not really spoken about too much, in my opinion, is Prophecy of Doom.
Oh,
nice.
Acknowledge the Confusing Master. And this fucking record is like, it's everything that like, if you like bands like Carcass or Bolt Thrower or even Napalm Death, you know, it's I want to say it's more of a metal record than it is like crust. But it's got some real doomy parts, got some real heavy like death metal parts. It just kind of plods along, and it's really fucking just the music is just crushing, and like I don't think this band gets enough attention, especially this record. They only put out like maybe like this record and an EP, and you know, but this one is their best material in my opinion. And it's really cool because like, you know, they'll have like this kind of bolt throwery kind of groove going on, and then just out of nowhere there's like these fucking like I kind of describe it as like, you know, one of the gremlins in Labyrinth where they're just like just out of nowhere, just like it kind of like, it's funny because when you're listening to it, I was driving down the highway the other day, and you know, you're just vibing with the music and shit like that, and then this screech comes out of nowhere and it pulls you back into the music. You're like, holy shit, what the fuck was that? But it's really good shit, man. This one is the Peaceville reissue, but the LP came out in, I want to say like 1990. But the lyrics are kind of cool too, because they talk more about kind of like a philosophy and kind of how your mentality can affect the environment around you, which, you know, back then a lot of people were talking about like war or like guts and shit like that. So it's kind of interesting to see something a little bit different, you know, a bit more on the philosophical side. So definitely recommend this if you're aching for something like, you know, old Bolt Thrower, or fucking, you know, old Carcass, or, you know, anything like that. They're all crusty dudes in the band, and like, you know, these crust punks playing metal. Yeah. So, you know, it's good shit. Can't go wrong every time. Punks playing metal in general, you know, if you have punks playing metal, it's a fucking winning combo, dude.
Definitely, I co-sign that statement.
Yeah,
I'm so glad you mentioned this one, because that's it's a great reminder. It's a band that's been on my radar. I've been meaning to pick up this LP for a while. I've actually been listening to a lot of like the early Eric stuff this week. I've just been kind of in that like old UK kind of grindy, crusty punk kind of mood. So like that's another one that would totally fit into what I've already been playing, and like it's like, oh yeah, another record I need to own. Let me get on that. And yeah, I'm glad you got a Peaceville reissue, because I know that'll be pretty easy to track down then. So
I think
Definitely,
I think they did a Peel session back in the day.
Oh,
There's
nice.
a Prophecy.
Yeah, they did.
And I think there's a discography, like 2 LP, like discography thing out there too. If anyone wants to check that out,
Oh, yeah.
I released it, but yeah, definitely part of that sort of Deviated Instinct.
Yeah, dude, they're like very stenchy, but also really like metallic. So like, you know, it's like heavy on the stench core riffs, heavy on the metallic kind of they have a couple of songs in there that kind of have like bolt throwery type intros. But yeah, definitely just on that vibe 100%. And I'm trying to just dig even further to see if there's any more like UK crust punk ska metal that I haven't found yet, because every time I fucking find something else, it's fucking good shit.
There's a bunch of them, right?
Yeah.
Gut Rot, I think they might be in that vein, if I remember correctly. Atavistic, not quite as metal, but definitely from a similar sort of scene, though. You know, like
Yeah.
All right. Cheers, man. I screwed up my last. I've already kind of given away my next pick. I was accidentally sort of telling everyone about my next pick while talking about my last. I don't know how that happened. It happens. Too much beer, too much cold medicine. Yeah. My next pick is from Colombia. My next pick is from yeah. And the drummer of this band is from Muro, and they are from the Rat Trap collective that spawned Muro and Alambrada and Undida Ideologica and some other bands. And this band, I was sure this record had been talked about before on the show. Maybe it has, and it just didn't show up. But Attack Zero.
Great one.
2021, Static Shock, Attack Zero, Bogota, Colombia. The drummer of Muro is in this band, as I've said.
Now this all makes a lot more sense.
now it's all coming together.
Yeah.
But it has that sort of the rawness of, you know, Colombian punk and all that kind of stuff, right? But except with this band, they're sort of going for big, melodic, like chugging and chiming guitars, maybe sort of moving targets, Leatherface, the good old melodic punk. You know, maybe a bit of I don't know. It's not so much Wipers, but just very catchy, huge sounding, like big, passionate, melodic punk, but with a sort of rawer production. You know, bouncing bass lines.
Yeah.
What a great combination! The sort of rawness of Colombian punk mixed with sort of the melody of sort of old US and UK melodic hardcore.
Yeah, I can definitely see the Leatherface similarities for sure.
Yeah, they were definitely sort of going for a more melodic approach. Lots of hi-hat action, very passionate vocals.
Yeah.
Yeah, great stuff. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Peligro Social, a little bit.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
I have never heard of this, but now I want to.
Yeah.
I only have one complaint about this record. It's too short. There's only 5 songs on it. They have a new 12-inch. Oh, wow. This is the one from 2021. I'm stoked to hear that they have a new record. Yeah.
Another record I got to buy.
Another record, damn it.
Yeah. You mentioned Leatherface, so I'm like, fuck yeah, man. Definitely got to check that out.
It's just got those like chiming guitars, like it just does something to you. It's like very anthemic, but with that sort of slightly rawer Colombian punk production and attack. So it's just like a perfect combination. You know what? Maybe not. I was going to say, if this came out like now, today, people might try and pigeonhole it into sort of being Oi Division. You know, like the sort of post-punk. They would, but it isn't. It's not that. It's just melodic, anthemic punk is what this is.
You know, I made a flyer the other day for a show I was doing, and I described one of the bands as Oi tinged hardcore punk, and I caught a lot of flack for that. So
What band was it?
It's this new band, Seclusion, out of DC. Statement, but yeah, everyone I think thought I was trying to milk the Oi bandwagon.
Yeah, Oi tinged. Like, what part of Oi are they tinged with?
Yeah, come to the show to find out. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to be careful with your wording. This is definitely. I just was listening to it. I was thinking, oh yeah, if this came out now, because a lot of that's sort of the newer French.
Oh yeah.
Stuff. You know what I mean? Like, but this is really not quite like that. It's more sort of melodic, hardcore punk. Great stuff. Attack Zero, 2021, and as Jordan said, they have a new 12-inch out, which I didn't know. So
yeah, so much good stuff coming out of Columbia.
Too much.
Too much good shit, man.
There is. Needs some sort of legislation in place to
slow down.
Start putting my records on layaway or some shit, man.
Yeah, it's definitely been a need to prioritize because I can't get everything, so I'm sort of in that realm of have to listen to everything a few times before I buy at this point because there's just so much.
Yeah. Otherwise, your apartment looks like mine or Mike's. So.
You don't want that to happen. Plus, it's all the old.
Would. I used to have I started buying records again after I moved back up to Pittsburgh, but there was so much stuff that I sold over the years when I was moving for grad school, and then after I had lived in Athens for a while, it's I'm going to be moving. I need to unload a bunch of stuff, and I need money. So I probably have a whole one of those shelf units of things that I just don't have anymore.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, there could be worse problems,
Right. Now I'm I'm not moving for a while. It doesn't matter. I can buy whatever.
I have to move at some point. I want to move once more in my life. I want to move, so I've got to make it count, But I'm not looking forward to it.
Yeah, hire some young guys to move all those records for you. Don't do that to your back.
Good idea.
Like we were saying before, you need the Analog Attack intern. It'd be a great job for them. Back up all these records and move them for me.
That would be nice. All right.
Mike's now taking applications for internships. So just like and subscribe. Send them your resume. Great on the job experience.
You won't get paid.
No pay, but tons of experience. Very valuable experience.
All right. Hazel, what's your next pick?
All right, so for the next one, I've got a bit of a listen and wear, although it's not t-shirt weather where I am, so I'm not actually going to wear it. But about a month ago, or a little less than a month ago, it dawned on me. It's November. I'm late November is always the anniversary of a very special show and very special commemorative t-shirt from 2003. We had the DSB East Coast tour. And the Philly show
flyer from that show, yeah.
The Philly show was a matinee at First Unitarian Church, and it was packed. There were a lot of people from Pittsburgh who came. There were people from all over out of town. It was the talk of the fall. And it was with, DSB obviously were great. Caustic Christ played, so a ton of Pittsburgh people came out and went crazy for them. From Ashes Rise played. It was the first time I saw them. So lots of heavy hitters. But sometimes on a show, the first band is really important for setting the stage. And the first band was from Minneapolis, and I had not heard them yet, but I'd heard that they were a crusty band from Minneapolis, and being a huge fan of Misery, I was anything that's crusty and from Minneapolis, I want to hear this. So the first band that played this was Resolve, and I'm going to be highlighting the Resolve and Consume split.
Nice.
Resolve were members of a million other bands, and also the singer from Detestation, and they did not disappoint. They were really good live, and there's a lot of bands that I've seen once, fairly short-lived, that maybe I've seen once, or they only put out 1 7-inch and I saw them play one time or something, and they leave a real impression on you despite that. This would be one of them. And musically, the Resolve side is grimy, not quite D-beat, crustcore type stuff, not, heavy stench music. It's definitely faster than that, with those distinctive vocals. The Consume side is similar-ish, but a little more like Scandinavian sounding. This also super group with people I think from like State of Fear and a million other bands. Got kind of a similar songwriting style while having a distinct identity of their own. Are people from this band in Night Feeder now by any chance? Do any of you guys know?
Jay Styles, right?
Yeah,
Jay Styles.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought so. And they're obviously like more, rock and roll sounding than this. But you can see some like threads of continuity and songwriting style through the time, which is fun. I actually just got this like a few years ago and was really glad to hear some of these songs again. Consume like went on and put up a bunch more records. Resolve did not. I was just looking at Discogs and this is like their only release, unfortunately. But memorable band, memorable show, and cool record. Kind of Resolve in particular, I think are like kind of underrated. My hot take of the day is I actually like them better than Detestation, and I heard them. I heard them before I heard Detestation. So like at first I was like, oh, it's probably like bias because I heard them first. But I've done like the side by side comparison, and this is the winner band for me.
Wow.
Yeah, Resolve was kind of like a super group because I mean, in addition to Sarah, you actually had there was a State of Fear connection too because Bracken was in that band, and then you also had Skell who went on to do like Frenzy, and he's been in a ton of bands.
Oh yeah.
Already. So yeah, it's like you had some real powerhouses of the Minneapolis scene doing that. Like they probably could have done a lot more great stuff. And yeah, I was a huge fan of that record when it first came out too. I remember being really excited about it. So definitely a blast from the past.
Yeah, I remember reading in Maximum Rock and Roll before I heard either of these bands. There was some like Felix Havoc column that said like these two bands are the saviors of American crustcore in the current era or something. So that caught my attention.
Is this what? Yeah. This.
It doesn't stick out to me as being like annoyingly clean now.
Right.
But the music on it is like pretty grimy. It doesn't sound overproduced to me. It doesn't sound like there's some records where I'm just like, this is too clean. I think it works.
Funny thing about Consume too is they put out like 5 records and they all came out in 2003. Like they just had one really busy year and then they all moved on. Like, I was really impressed that somehow managed to do that. Because I remember being like, I was a huge State of Fear fan, and then when they came out, I was like, oh, it's like the second coming. Like, yeah, Jay Styles like in a new band, it's just as good. Like, so I ate up everything they put out. But yeah, 5 records over the course of 1 year. I'm like, that's an impressive amount of. I mean, I imagine they maybe just did them all in one big recording session and just chopped them up or something.
I like Consume. They're a good band. Consume.
Yeah, State of Fear, one of the best bands ever. Yeah, like
oh yeah,
Chris Piss.
Definitely. All those bands like State of Fear, Consume. Yeah. It's all good shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that and Resolve too. Yeah, that's not enough people talk about them for sure. So that's cool.
I can't stop thinking about DSB because I have a lot of questions about like the US tour and like that was the first tour, right, where they had the old singer and everything, right?
I'm not sure.
Because they've been there at least twice, right? But the first time was the time when they had the original singer and they were a 4-piece, and the singer with the big mohawk, and then they went back again and he'd left on the second.
Well, I know they were supposed to do a tour like I want to say a West Coast tour, and they got denied entry to the U.S.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they were supposed to play Philly on my birthday on that tour too, so it's a personal attack.
Yeah.
Rude.
And then Jim Martin put out the record.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, one of the very first Vex records. One of the very first Vex records.
Yeah, I've seen some footage of like that first DSB tour in the States. It's nuts. People loved them.
Yeah, I mean they're
the Pittsburgh style, like early 2000s circle pit was just going the entire time, like even between songs. And just like I don't even remember that much like what the band looked like for it because I was in that, so I was like just dancing the whole time and I was like I can kind of see but not really. I'm just like having too much fun to try to see, so it's like I sort of remember like what they were wearing and stuff, but
very visual band, like white leather jackets, like maybe 3 leather jackets, and like
I was just gonna say, like I think
sunglasses.
Yeah.
I think the singer had on like a bright red leather jacket and like sunglasses, and it was like hot.
Yeah,
really weather too.
I remember leather jackets.
I was like, I can't believe he's wearing a leather jacket right now. Like,
nice. All right.
Great. Yeah.
Stephen, what's your next pick?
All right. Well, like I said, I've been listening to a lot of that kind of like old, like, you know, mid 80s UK, like kind of grinding metallic punk, like that really like early Earache Records kind of sound. And you know, like also like stuff like Disattack, you know, the pre-Carcass band. And the reason I've been listening to a lot of that recently is because I've also been listening to this record, which actually came out last year. It's actually another Rigorous Institution side project. So without further ado, it is Global Thermonuclear War.
Dude,
And,
yes. Fuck yeah.
This is just like really fast, like almost bordering on grindcore, kind of like, but like still heavily rooted in that early. Like it actually reminds me a lot of like the really early Heresy material, which I also just pulled out the other night. And yeah, like the early like electro hippies, like Scum era Napalm Death. Like it's just like really dialing in on that particular sound, and like he does it so well. Like this record, like so this LP is it's actually just the demo tape which came out in 2023. They pressed it to vinyl in 2024, and they threw on some additional unreleased tracks, which also included an Os Rotten cover. Yeah, he does a cover of Factory and just like plays it like perfect. So it still has that same like driving urgency to it. But yeah, it's like a really fun record. Yeah, it's John from Rigorous Institution, and then like I think a drummer. You know, they just kind of like did. I don't know if it's just a one-off project or if he plans on doing some more. I would definitely love to hear some more material from this band, because like they definitely got the riffs. And it's cool. Like this is on Symphony of Destruction Records from France, and the last time I mentioned a record from that label, it was a synth pop band on my first appearance on the show. So yeah, they put out everything from synth pop to this, just like borderline like grindcore, hardcore punk, and yeah, great label, very diverse. This is a great record. Yeah, if you like, you know, Prophecy of Doom and all those other stuff we were talking about earlier, like this again, like it's a modern band, but they pick right up and like just do that sound like dialed in perfectly. So,
hell yeah, cool. I fucking love that record, man. I had no idea that even like I knew about the tape, but I didn't know they pressed it on vinyl. So I'm definitely gonna have to fucking buy that like tonight.
Yeah. When the demo first came out on Bandcamp, I listened to it like 100 times, and I saw the vinyl, and I was like, oh yes, finally! Like this definitely needed a press. So I'm really glad Symphony of Destruction picked that up. And you know, it's like,
oh, go ahead.
No, it's like very simple. It's just like screen printed cover, like no interior at all, and just like a little like insert with the lyrics on it and stuff. So it's just like very basic, very bare bones, but like, you know, the music is what delivers the goods. And yeah, another very brightly colored record too. We've been kind of on a theme. A lot of Primary Red has been featured tonight. So
I'm excited. The tape version of that is looking at me from a shelf across the room, but I listen to records a lot more than I listen to tapes, so I'm definitely gonna need to get that.
I know I barely ever buy tapes anymore because I never listen to them. So it's like if something's tape only, I'll usually just buy it on Bandcamp instead, and I'll be more
like I'll buy tapes if it's a band that I really, really, really like, or like I'm seeing them on live and I want to get something to support them or whatever. But it's not my favorite format.
Yeah,
I liked it more when I had a car with a tape deck. Then I listened to a ton of tapes, but those are very hard to find these days. So.
Yeah, it's funny that you describe them with like a little bit of Heresy influence, because I was talking to a friend about this band whenever they first dropped, and I was like, "Do you guys hear this shit?" And that's exactly how I described. I was like, "Dude, it's a little bit of Heresy, but it's very like crusty, kind of like on that UK vibe for sure."
Yeah, like, specifically like this album, you know, like
yeah, exactly.
Stuff, like before like the Face Up to It, because yeah, they really changed a lot on the Face Up to It.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
I mean, I posted this in the group. Like anyone who's in the group saw me post this the other night, and you know, there was some discussion about how this is some people's, including mine's, favorite era of the band. And yeah, it's just like a lot of it really reminds me of those like Disattack riffs or like that kind of stuff. Just like those really like just grindy kind of metallic mid-paced breakdowns, and then just like
yeah,
completely funny. Like just to segue into Heresy for a second. There's like
that's fine.
There's an interview in here, and when they recorded one of the first 7 inches, they were in like some posh studio, and they're like, the engineer did not understand this at all, and he literally said like, it's not going to sound good because drums weren't meant to be played that fast. Fuck you. So anyway, yeah, Global Thermonuclear War definitely carries that just blasting kind of banner forward. And yeah, if you like that early Heresy stuff, definitely this scratches the same itch for sure.
Cool.
See, Mike, you're not the only one who can sneak in 2 records at once.
I didn't even, you were so slick, I didn't even notice. All right, Dan, what's your
All right.
fourth
So
record?
I don't remember. Do we do 5 picks or 4 picks?
Five or 6?
5, sometimes 6. Okay.
Yeah.
So for my fourth,
However many way you can get away with.
Yes. Yeah.
so there's one specific era of Chaos UK, kind of like the more modern stuff. I don't think a lot of people are too interested into the more modern Chaos UK, as opposed to like, of course, like the older stuff, all the hardcore and kind of grimy shit they put out. But they released a shitload of EPs just strictly in Japan. And I would always go, like when we were touring over there and shit, I would see them. And unfortunately, I never picked any of them up. Now they're really hard to find here in the States. But they did come out with a compilation CD. And I think it was, I forget who put out the CD version of this, but it came with Heard It, Seen It, Done It, like the full album. And then a bunch of the like all the Japanese releases. But recently I went record shopping like just the other day and I saw this. I was like, I have to get it. And it's the Chaos UK, Kings for a Day, the vinyl Japanese years.
Japanese, right?
Yeah.
Ah.
So like this is a compilation of all this the singles and I guess some of the split material and EPs they put out at that time. And a lot of people are kind of like, well, like Chaos era, Chaos UK isn't my favorite, but there's some really fucking cool, fun shit on here. Mostly got this for the Compai EP, which is really hard to find here, which I fucking love that EP. It's just punk as fuck, not so much like hardcore or, that grimy sound that they used to have. But I mean, the first song on that one is called Chunderer. So, it's, and I think the lyrics are just like, I want to puke all over you. And that's all he fucking says in the song. But it's really good, fun shit. And if you listen to this, there's a lot of like precursor to like FUK, which I'm a huge FUK fan. And honestly, shouts out to Gaba, because when we played in Berlin, they let us hop on their show when we played with them in Chaotic Discord. So shouts out to the FUK dudes for sure. But there, I mean, I love everything that Chaos UK did, and so there's a lot of really fun tracks. Kind of reminds me more of like a little bit more like Anti-Nowhere League, where it's real tongue in cheek kind of punk anthems more than it is like hardcore punk. Right. But yeah, dude, this shit, if you haven't heard any of the stuff that they released in Japan only, it's really a lot of really fun shit.
But the funny thing is, though, Dan, it's like the record label was Vinyl Japan, right? Which is a Japanese label, but all the records were pressed in England.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Because they had an office in the UK and a record store, I think, in London. So they were all like pressed in the UK. But they didn't make it to America very much, I think, at that time. It was either Europe or Japan. Well, they were easy to find, but I think in the States, like, not so much, right?
Yeah.
But definitely, like, that era is a definite sort of, is a definite choice to go in that direction, almost like as a reaction against a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about. Like, the metal in punk and, like, the direction that hardcore was going. Let's take it back to sort of 77 style, almost sing-along, like punk
yeah.
rock. And that was their thing sort of back then. It was like, punk, let's punk. And the punk cover versions and
punk for the sake of fucking punk.
Yeah.
And I love that.
I love that. Really good song on there. The best song I think for me on there is a song called 2000 Lies.
Yeah, 2000 Lies. Great song.
That's a great song. That's a great
song. That's on the Compai EP also.
Yes.
And like what's funny is like I don't really fuck with Discogs. I try not to unless there's something I really want. And I was like, man, I really want this Compai EP. And the only fucking place that's selling it in the States is actually right down the highway from where I live in Texas.
Oh, no way.
And it's like but the thing is, it's like a Japanese import. So it's this fucking record store that's like notorious for jacking up their prices. Just because it's a UK band, they'll call it a UK import, even if it's a US release. and it'll just drag the prices up. So they wanted like $100 fucking for that EP. I was like, well, fuck, well, I don't know about that. So I was at the record shop the other day, and that whole EP is on this compilation.
Yep.
It was really cool. So this Radiation put this out last year, and like I said, there is a CD version of it, and it's just basically a reissue of that on vinyl.
Okay.
But the CD version has like a whole album that they did on the first disc, and I think the second disc is essentially what this is.
That's just all the singles and compilation tracks that were on Vinyl Japan, right? I think.
Yeah. Wasn't Discipline? Weren't they the ones that owned?
Discipline is like a sort of like imprint of Vinyl Japan. It's like the hardcore imprint of Vinyl Japan.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. You know what's funny too is though, I was looking at this and I was like, I knew about the CD version of this, and I was like, wait a minute, the track listing doesn't really quite match up, and it's because they don't have that first album on there, but right here on the fucking artwork, they've got it right there. And they don't have any of the tracks on there, so I thought it was kind of funny. But it's I don't know, really cool find. Just for nonchalantly walking into the record store, I was like, oh shit, this has a compi EP on it, so cool. Fucking punk as fuck, green vinyl.
Yeah.
And just to sort of really hammer home the crust theme of tonight's episode, Vic from Nausea is the guitar player in that era, right? Because he was
yeah. Exactly, dude. Good shit.
Love a good secret crust connection.
Yeah, I saw him so many times like in that era because they played all the time, right? And you know Jay, right? Jay from he was in Chaos UK for a bit and Dreadlocks. I know.
I don't think I ever met
it. He's on some of the tracks. He was.
Oh wow, okay. Yeah, I don't think I ever met him.
Okay.
But,
okay.
It was cool catching up with Gaba in Berlin though, because we had played with FUK there, and honestly, like we were supposed to play Leipzig that night. No, wait, we're supposed to play Hamburg, so we were in Leipzig to get all our backline and all that shit. So every now and then I talk to Richard on Facebook. Like, hey man, we're in a bind right now. Some shit got fucked up on our tour. You guys are playing in Berlin. You know, can we hop on the gig essentially? And they're like, of course, dude. Yeah, fucking good to hear from you. I can't believe you guys are here. Let's do it. So like we went and played the show. We just had a really good time catching up with those dudes. And, you know, of course, FEK, I fucking love that band. So they ripped, you know. It was a good ass time. So basically anything Gaba does, anything he touches, whether it be Scomputer or Chaos UK or FUK, I fucking love all that shit.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Last round, man. My last pick is a real sort of left turn. But it's a good one. I was in the record shop a few weeks ago and I saw this record. And just by the title and the way it looks and everything, I thought it was going to be a certain type of record. And I was like, I'm going to buy this, like a blind buy. It's a Japanese record. And I kind of got it home, like expecting one thing. And it was not the thing at all that I was expecting. And it actually belongs to a kind of very, very like wide genre of music that I really despised when I like coming up in the 80s, because I was probably listening or being exposed to all the sort of commercial music in there. I'm talking about techno is the genre that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But obviously just listening to stuff that's on, or in, you know, going to clubs or in, I don't know, it seems like very noisy to me. I mean, I know we've been like talking about quite noisy music all night, but this is a kind of different kind of noisiness that I just could not deal with when I was younger.
Yeah.
And anyway, so I come home and I found out, okay, I bought a techno record here. I think to me, it doesn't sound like the techno I remember. My friend Pete from Chicago, from Detroit, sort of set me straight on sort of the history of techno, blah 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 blah. And there's a lot. It's a bigger genre than punk. There's so many subgenres and rabbit holes and like very niche. It's complicated. It's way more complicated than punk. So you got to be careful. He's kind of steering me in the right direction, and I've got. But this one is great. Anyway, so look at it. It's Acid Mount Fuji, and you can kind of see where why I might have bought this record
Yeah.
by Susumu Yokota. I was kind of expecting like a heavy like psych record. It's not. It's not. It's techno. But but look, it's great. Great looking record, like textured cover.
Yeah.
Was only on CD in the 90s. This is a reissue from 2019. First time on vinyl.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah.
But like, because obviously when I put it on, I was like, what the hell is this? So I immediately went online and was like looking it up. And it was like, this is, and you know, it's like techno, blah, blah, blah. I was like, I don't know, to me, this does not sound like the techno that kind of I remember. Because of course, I'm a complete idiot on this show. I know nothing, right? So this kind of sounds like Tangerine Dream to me. As a novice, you know?
Yeah.
It's lots of like ambient synthesizers and sort of like psychedelic sound effects, lots of them field recordings of birds and babbling brooks and elephants. I don't know why there's elephants on Acid Mount Fuji. I guess if you're on acid, elephants might appear when you
That's fair, yeah.
I don't know. But it's great. It's just like I liked it way more than I was expecting. And I'm still like, why is this techno? I still don't understand why this is considered techno. But I think like originally he recorded it with just the Roland synthesizers from the day.
Yeah.
As a kind of more ambient is the word I'm looking for. It's an ambient record. But then he went back and added like beats to it afterwards.
Okay. Interesting.
That's cool.
So that's why it's techno, because it has beats on it, right? But
does it have the driving dance beats?
But it's very kind of subdued. It never gets to like thudding. It's very ambient, you know. But this is I didn't realize this is a kind of a classic in the genre, apparently.
Oh.
I just lucked out and got it. But very funny just reading reviews and all the different, there's so many subgenres, you know. Ambient techno, Japanese new age and minimal techno, mystical ambient acid, futurist minimal techno. You know, there's all these things that I'd never heard of before. But it's really, really good, and it's kind of opened sort of very large and expensive looking musical door. So my friend Pete is he's encouraging me to open the door wider and wider. But you know, Detroit. But you know, it's kind of funny to sort of just hit a classic like straight off the bat, completely ignorantly. Yeah, it's way, to me as a novice, this is way more Tangerine Dream than sort of club night or whatever you want to call it.
As somebody who like very, very superficially dabbles in that, like all the different genre descriptions and stuff, I can't tell you very much about them, but I know when something sounds cool. That's basically my experience in that, and like that sounds neat. It's got really cool cover art. I'm definitely gonna check that one out.
That's like, to me, I'm not going to try and show off and pretend I know what this is. I'm just going to say, to me, it sounds like very close to Tangerine Dream. To me, as a novice, you know, entering this world of techno at 57 years old. 57 years old. So check
out. I only have enough capacity to like get really, really detailed like following of certain kinds of music, because it's like there's so much out there that's cool. So there's some stuff that I just like, I'm probably never gonna really delve into this because I just like don't have any open slots in the brain right now. So my like explorations of techno and related genres tend to be like very surface level. Like I'll hear something I like and listen to it, and like, you know, I'll pull up like people's like YouTube mixes and stuff, but I don't know that I would ever find myself collecting records for it, just because like,
I never thought I would either.
Too much.
I know what I don't like already. I don't like the super loud boom, boom. I don't like that. I like it to be more I guess it's I guess I'm an ambient techno fan. That's what I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder, it kind of sounds like you're describing like some of the releases that like Aphex Twin has kind of done, but
you know what? I think you might be right. I think so. Yeah.
But yeah, that cover looks crazy, man. It's crazy. I'm not surprised you bought that on Blind, but
it had sort of heavy psychedelic rock.
Yeah, it looks like that, or like a city pop record or something.
Yeah. But the guy did the artwork too, and it's kind of his rendition of Hokusai, the famous like Japanese painting. It's a kind of his rendition of Hokusai's Akafuji, red Mount Fuji. This is his like reinterpretation of like that famous painting of Mount Fuji. It's pretty nice, and even the back looks cool too, right? So
Nice.
you can understand why I bought this.
Yeah, it's gorgeous record.
Yeah, it's pretty.
And it's just been reissued again, like in a triple LP format. But I think triple LP is overkill. I think the double LP is.
This is enough.
That's my last pick. Yeah, been having a time for this.
Just watch it. A year from now, Mike's going to be a techno DJ. Like, you know.
No, yes, I will. Watch this space.
You know, I did dabble in some techno back in high school. Like, I was a big fan of that band Orbital back then, and like some of those kind of related groups. So,
hey, you know what I just bought? I just bought this Orbital record with David Gilmour from Pink Floyd.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I really want to hear that actually, because I was a big Pink Floyd fan when I was a young person too. So like, I feel like that pairing is like very geared towards like 16-year-old me. Like,
I mean, imagine like, you know, David Gilmour's silky guitar tone over the Orbital's beautiful.
Yeah, I would love to hear that. I gotta check that out.
All right. Hazel, what's your last pick?
I'm going to break the rules and have a digression. So, speaking of techno, something that I'm not allowed to talk about on here because I don't think it exists in a physical format, and I don't know if it will. But a friend of friends released a really cool, sort of techno influenced, like post punk, like dancey album. It's Doors of Perception, and the guy's project name is just Nature. It's described as like an Afrofuturist post-punk record, mostly instrumental tracks, really cool textures, kind of like meditative in places, got some like catchy parts. I've been listening to that a lot, and like I hope it comes out on a physical format eventually. But definitely worth checking out if you're not opposed to internet music. It's really good, like paper grading music or house cleaning music or dance music or like, you know, anything that we want to like concentrate on. It like kind of opens up the brain in a nice way. Nice. That's really good. But as far as physical things to talk about, have a whole bunch more extra picks left to go. So I'm going to go with a cassette to piggyback on what we were talking about tapes. And I'm going to go on with this cassette because one of the bands that it really reminds me of is one that has been discussed tonight. So we're back in the Crust realm to talk about one of my favorite tapes of 2024, 2024 demo by Scholar from Baltimore.
Oh, nice.
They remind me a lot of Stormcrow.
Yeah.
They're doing like similar, really heavy, metallic, like crushing stench crusts. You know, first song is like a little slower, like real crusher banger, and then they get faster. Like later on this tape, there's more like fast songs that. And they use D beats, but without really being like a D beat band per se. It's like D beats in a crustier context, which I really like. Listened to this a ton this year. Had to buy the tape. They played Pittsburgh, and I was really excited about it. I was actually supposed to play with them back in May, but couldn't, and the whole show ended up getting canceled. So they jumped on a show in October, and I was so excited. I was telling her, I was like, I know it's a Tuesday. I don't care. You all need to come. You need to see this band. It'll be worth it. I promise. And they were great. And I'm looking forward to seeing more of what they do.
Nice.
Yeah, they're high on my list of bands I want to see in 2025. They definitely have my attention.
Have they played Philly?
If they have, I haven't known about it. It was under the radar, but I don't know if they have, honestly, because I feel like I would have heard about it.
One of my bandmates knows them and was telling me that he like used to sell them kombucha when he lived in Baltimore or something. So we had to go have our fan moment and be like, we love you.
Wow, that's real crusty right there.
What's the name of the band again?
Scholar. I looked it up, and I guess it's just Swedish for skulls.
Okay.
They've got a like umlaut over the first A.
All right, Stephen. What's your last pick?
All right. Well, anyone who's followed my past appearances on your show knows that I always like to do a sleeper synth pop jammer, and this week is no exception. So I would like to present the new LP from the band is called Disintegration. The LP is called Shiver in a Weak Light. And this is a synth pop record released by Feel It Records, who I feel is like probably one of the finest purveyors of pop music that also falls under the punk umbrella. And not pop punk. I don't mean pop punk at all, but like they release a lot of pop, what could be pop records made by like punk people. And, and this is no exception either. Like, despite sharing their name with the Cure LP, Disintegration is definitely more in that like new wave synth pop kind of genre, you know, not really post punk. But fans of post-punk, I think, would recognize the singer of this band, who is a very distinctive and powerful voice of Hazel AH, who plays with the Pleasure Leftists. And let's see. I grabbed a couple Pleasure Leftist records this week because I've been also listening to them a lot. Haley's got this really distinctive, just beautiful, powerful voice, and I really love everything that she does. So, you know, Pleasure Leftist is definitely more kind of in your traditional post-punk kind of sound. And funny thing, I actually just learned about this band. It actually featured 2 members of Nine Shock's Terror, which I would have never guessed listening to this band, because this is like very like musical, subdued, kind of like in the kind of groove. And you know, Nine Shock's Terror is like music to set off fireworks and hit yourself in the head with a baseball bat too. So very different kind of vibe. But yeah, this record is just it's really great. I've been listening to it. I just got it this week in that Sorry Stay order that I mentioned. So I've been listening to it a ton, and you know, I feel like Haley's voice is really like the focus of these tunes. It's just like really rich and full of passion and full of feeling. But like the songs themselves, like there's like the perfect blend of like kind of like vaporwave nostalgia with like a mix of like modern pop sensibility. So I mean, a lot of these tracks could easily be like on the soundtrack of like an 80s movie, and it would fit right in. It's like really catchy, really captivating. I mean, again, like anyone who's seen any of my other synth pop picks from episodes past kind of already can imagine what this probably sounds like. So, and I'm really excited because earlier today I was checking my email and I found out that this band's actually playing in Philly tomorrow night.
Oh,
so hopefully I can get my butt there and actually see them, because I would love to see them do this live. So, you know, I might be at a techno gig tomorrow night, like, you know, doing my dance move. So you heard it here first. Yeah, the band again, Disintegration, the album Shiver in a Weak Light. Check it out if you like synth pop, if you like new wave, if you like the Pleasure Leftists. Really, really good stuff. And yeah, just came out on Feel It Records. If you're a fan of, yeah, like Rachel said, they're playing tomorrow night with a racer at Photo Club. So very excited for that. Hopefully, I'll see some of you there.
I'd love to go.
Yeah, it's already tomorrow for you, Mike. You're on your way.
Oh yeah, I'll see you there, man.
Yeah, see you all on the dance floor. I'll bring the poppers.
It's only 5-hour drive. I could go. I probably have to grade papers in the back, but I could go.
I love Feel It Records. I don't know why. There's just certain something about the label that I really, really like.
Yeah, he's put out a lot of stuff that I would have never expected to like, but then I heard, like, wow, this is great. I need to buy it. So like he's done it again. And yeah, Disintegration, they actually have a 4-song EP that came out before this a couple years ago. I picked that up just based on the Pleasure Leftist connection, and immediately was not disappointed. I was like, oh, I might like this band just as much. And now that I've heard this record, I'm like, I might like them even more. Like they're just
nice.
Really...
You've just introduced me 2 new bands in one pick. There you go.
Yeah, you know, sneaking another one in there. So yeah. Yeah, like I said, they're from Cleveland, Ohio. Great stuff. Definitely check them out. And and you know, I'll report back in the group on Sunday if I get a chance to see them. I can give you a live review.
Cool. All right, Dan, last pick of the show.
All right, man. So one thing I'm always kind of like low-key jealous of you, Mike, is like you're always finding really good shit in the bargain bin. Yeah. And I'm just like, dude, I could never find anything fucking good, and any like most of the record stores in Dallas don't even have bargain bins. But I recently went out to Born Late Records, and it's a record shop in Fort Worth. That's my hometown, which is like about 30 minutes away from Dallas. They have so much cool shit there. It's just wall-to-wall records, just old vintage records, punk records, metal records, especially rock and roll, you name it. They have all kinds of shit. It would take me a week just to go through it all. But I went there, and it was on the way home. I just happened to stop in, and I was looking through their kind of like their little bargain bin section there, and their punk and hardcore. And I was like, oh, holy shit, dude, this is so cheap. I have to fucking buy it. I think it was like maybe about $12, $14 or some shit. But Selfish, Cause Pain.
Nice.
I was like,
Great.
Dad, that's a fucking no-brainer. I mean, I'm gonna take this fucking sleeve off because the Sugi art just pops.
Yep.
But yeah, and this record, it's from the Finnish band Selfish. They're fucking awesome. They're probably one of the best like tributes to Japanese hardcore, in my opinion. Like they kind of understood the sound a little bit more than other bands have attempted it. But this record, especially, I could tell you exactly where I was in my life. You know, it's like, you know, records are kind of like when you listen to them, they're kind of like a time capsule that takes you straight back to all those memories. It just unlocks all this shit for you, and that's exactly what this record is. And came out in 2005, and around the same time, I want to say maybe the year this was released or the next year, they played at Chaos and Taos in Texas. So we actually got to see them down there, and they were fucking awesome live. But
Nice.
really, really sick, man. I mean, it's crazy too because like they've got everything from the Sugi artwork to the fucking, you know, collage band photos of them being goofy. Like a lot of Japanese bands do that too as well. So they kind of like they hit the nail on the head with this one. But yeah, I mean, as far as like Japanese influence bands, especially in the Burning Spirits realm and style, like these dudes are one of the best that did it. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, like, I saw it, I was just like, dude, no brainer. Bargain bin find.
Great score. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say that they are the best, like, non-Japanese Burning Spirit style
Yeah, they definitely did that.
band.
Yeah, I mean, you can talk about bands like Burial did it really well. And like me and Chris were talking earlier today about Nagasaki Nightmare. They've done some cool stuff too. But definitely I think Selfish is the one that stands out the most in that kind of style.
Yeah. And it's so interesting too, because if you go back and listen to like the Doom Split, they're just like a straight up DB band back then.
Exactly,
so
dude.
They didn't even
It's
start the band as the goal. Like they were already on this path, and then they were like, "Oh, let's just do Japanese hardcore," and they're like, "Yeah, like
Someone
let's
got
just
a
do
Death
that."
Side.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, there's
And they
like one
ended up being
seven that I
so
have
good
too,
at
where
it.
you can definitely see like the light bulb turn on, and they're like, "Oh, Burning Spirits, Japanese hardcore, okay," and then like they just went all in. So
It's almost
Yeah,
like
I
they practiced their instruments, and they're like, "Oh, wait, we could actually do this. Like,
yeah,
let's just show up to
I
practice,
mean-
not hungover, and we can actually play."
I mean, it's kind of like sometimes I think a little bit of it is too much. Like the vocal style, I think is a little, dare I say, appropriated. But
Ooh,
like
It's a Finnish man,
you know, yeah.
Finnish man, like emulating a Japanese man who's emulating like a British.
Exactly, dude.
or
Like,
you have a copy of a copy.
That's so fucking wild to me when you put it like that too, when you think about it. But like, you know, the fucking the big, you know, flowing shirts that Otto would wear and shit, you know.
Paint box.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very chill. Yeah.
That's a
Didn't we talk
very
about another
Chelsea
Selfish
thing to
record?
do.
Didn't we talk about another Selfish record when you were on a few times before?
Yeah, this is the second episode I've been on with it. Selfish has been discussed.
Life Has No Vacant Time was the one that we
Yep.
talked about.
Yeah, that was a great record when that came out. Yeah,
That rules. That's
Yeah.
such a good one.
yeah, Dan, I think I saw them on the same tour in 2005. They played Philly, and they super
nice.
nice. We talked to the drummer a bunch. You know, he's a super nice guy. Like, I think he ended up becoming pen pals with one of the members of AOS because we were still active back then. And
Oh, that's sick.
yeah, really, because we all loved Japanese hardcore back in the day too. So like, of course, meeting them, we're like, oh, hey, we worship the same stuff you do. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
AOS played both the Philly Selfish shows because there was the one in 2002 at the church, and that was the first time I saw AOS play.
Oh, nice.
And that was cool. I was like just turned 15 at the time or something.
I saw Otto. Otto was in Japan like a few months back, so we met up.
Oh, cool.
Oh, for real?
Went to see Iron Maiden.
Oh, for real? You went to Iron Maiden with Otto?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, I think last time I was on the show, it was right before you were going to see Maiden, because that was one of your picks that night.
Yeah.
It was a good time. Good to see him. Good to see him. He's doing well.
That's good.
And he's playing in that. He's playing in a band again. He's playing drums in. Fucking the name of the band I can never remember. It's in Finnish. It was an all girl band, but now Otto is drumming. His partner Joanna, she's the leader of that band.
Oh.
Kovarasva. It's the name of
Oh,
the
wasp.
They've got a bunch of records out on Smart
Let's
Records.
pick it up in time for next week's episode.
Good. I showed their tape a few episodes back. Good finish, hardcore. So it's good to see him behind the drum kit again.
That's awesome.
Yeah. All right, that's it. It's been a great show. What a great time. The time's flown by. Actually, why did it went by?
Yeah.
Went by so.
It's been 2 hours. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, right on 2 hours. There you go.
Yeah.
So thank you for tuning in. Let me just announce. It's a Chicago special again.
Ooh.
Sarah is Czech, Scott Plant, Jeff Rice, Chicago special. Next Friday, episode 98, December 20th, 10 p.m. Eastern. Looking forward to it. We're probably going to carry on chatting a little bit after we stop recording. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for having me.
Until next time, stay healthy.